Good to have you again on the program. And of course, it is the economy today. Well, we, as always, will have things to show. We've got some segments we'll bring in even as the program runs on. Okechukwu Onubogu here. And I have a guest, but let's go on first. We'll talk about the guest and bring in the guest later. Right away, we want to say it's a pleasure sharing the moment with you, and of course that we do believe that at the end of the program you would have learnt one lesson or the other, or added something to your knowledge so as to make things better for us all. That's just the ultimate aim of the program itself coming on. Well, we will begin with the stock exchange and the oil market. Then after that we'll return and take another segment before we now talk about bringing in the guest that we'll have for the program today. Let's go to the stock exchange market. Yes, the Nigerian Stock Exchange. The all shares index that we have is on the negative, that is 0.18, that is minus 0.18%. And it's 104,788.25. While we also have a value trade. The value traded as yesterday in Naira was 9.7 billion. 9.7 billion. That was what was traded on yesterday. And the volume was 432.5 million, while the market capital is 65.8 trillion Naira, of course, that was involved. But even apart from the huge amount and all, it still happens to be on the negative, minus 0.18%. Okay, let's look at the people that are the top active traders. We have 3 of the top active traders on this day's edition, and we have the Access Corp, that's Access Holding, at 77.8 million Naira was what they traded in, while Lakes brought in 44.2 million Naira. Fidelity Bank brought in 32.4 million Naira. So all these plus some other small ones that came in gave us what we found as we looked at the other one earlier. All that gave us what we have as the 9.7 billion that was traded on. And over 65.8 trillion is the entire capital. Okay, there are, as always, people who will have more active involvement, people who have gained. There are also those who have declined. I don't know. I think we have a top decliner. So you have a top gainers today. What we just have is our top decliners. And ABC Transport is 1 and 0.14, all on the minus, of course. That's why it is declined in the first place. And then 10% is it on percentage. The Eternal also had 3.55 with a 9.90% decline. That's why you see minus ahead. And then the cap is 3.50, of course, minus again, and 7.45% decline. While Regal Insurance has 0.02 and 3.64% on the decline. That's what we have from there. But then there should be top gainers. We have top gainers there. Our top gainers, we have KAFTAN. KAFTAN is the lead. It has 0.21 and the percentage is 10%, while NIMET has 0.26 and the percentage is 9.92. VFD Group has 7.20 points and they have 9.92% increase, while Veritas Cap has 0.16 points and percentage is 9.57%. These are the top gainers we have. Well, we will look at the oil market. In the oil market, there are also people that are there and things that have happened. The West Texas Intermediate crude goes for $60.99. $60.99, and of course, it's an increase from the last time we checked, and that's why it is on the green today. 0.92 and percentage is 1.53% increase. Brent crude went for $64.24. 0 point this. Okay, we'll just say that Morgan crude has 65.66 and Bonnie Light 78.62. We'll take a break. We'll return. Nigeria eyes $20 billion annual revenue from space technology. The federal government has announced it is targeting to generate over $20 billion annual revenue from Nigeria's evolving space economy, leveraging on a newly launched space security platform and comprehensive regulatory reforms. Speaking at the launch event in Abuja, Minister of Innovation, Science and Technology, Chief Uche Jeffrey Nnaji, unveiled the government's strategic plans to capitalize on space technologies for national revenue generation, particularly in key sectors like oil monitoring and maritime surveillance. With space-based surveillance, we can detect vessels entering Nigerian waters, even those that switch off their transponders to evade detection. We'll be able to track them, ensure compliance, and collect the appropriate fees. This initiative alone could yield over $20 billion annually, Nnaji said. The minister stated that Nigeria's space economy is no longer a futuristic dream, but a present-day economic lever. Space is no longer the domain of dreamers alone. It is now the frontier of serious business, innovation, and national security, he said. Our task is clear: to establish a transparent, well-regulated ecosystem where public and private sectors, from startups to established institutions, can thrive, he added. The new space security platform is tied to the enforcement of Nigeria's 2015 regulations on the licensing and supervision of space activities. Section 4, Sub 1 mandates that no one shall carry out activities to which the regulations apply, except under the authority of a license granted by the National Space Council. Oh, well, you have heard that. That's what we have in our news beats. There is hope for our country, that's what I must say. Since the sector would also do something, the science and technology sector would do something to increase the thing we get, talking about the finances of the nation, the thing that accrues to our country through their own services. It's all for good. I want to say kudos to Dr. Nnaji and all those working with him. But our hope is that these things will really come to pass, not just only hearing about it. That's one thing about our country. Please, let's get to have it. Well, we still have news from the business news, from our business news. We'll have that. It will still come up. But before then, let me introduce my guest. He is a very special person, I must say, to this program, to us, and as far as life is concerned. And so today, I am blessed to have Dr. Gbore on the program with me. He is a finance expert, a tax and finance expert. I think I'll say that. And we'll talk about the things that have to do with this economy as it affects even the populace, as it affects the Nigerians involved in the economy itself. How it affects us and all is what we'll talk about today with him. And so, we want to say welcome to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah. Good morning, Abuja. Good morning, Nigeria. I hope you're having a good day.
Yeah, thank you so much. The economy is something that is so wide. We start looking at it. We can use only that as a topic for the entire day. But when we have people like you, we'll try to get back a little to ask, because I always take pride to say that in this program, it's the program that has to do with the economy. But we bring it to such a level that everybody that watches it will understand. Not just for, oh, I understand the terminologies. No. I like to bring it down. So that after watching, the person that has been saying, I'm not interested in this economy talk, will say, oh, is that so? So this is what they've been talking about. You will want to listen again. So that's why whenever we come here, we bring people that will help us bring these facts down and let everybody understand. And so I want to begin with the economy itself. If you were to be told, to explain to somebody that is, I'm thinking of the word to use, where there's somebody that is just a common man. Permit me to use
layman.
That word. A layman, okay. In a layman's world, what would you say the economy is all about?
You see, in our environment, we define it as either of two things. So let me explain those two things. You see, it's either economic growth or economic development.
Yes.
Now, if you say economic growth, you're talking about the quantity of produce or increase in GDP, gross domestic product. And what's that? That's the entire cost of products and services in an economy in a year. Now you can say the economy of Nigeria, the GDP, by the way, of Nigeria rises up by X amount in a quarter or in a year. It doesn't mean that it will reflect on the lives of people. That's why there is economic development, which is the one that relates directly with your health care, your education, your growth, personal. So that is the one that affects the food that comes to the table of each Nigerian. Growth, you can call a figure and say, oh, we have grown from this level to this level. And a layman will ask, what's my business with that? What's that got to do with me? The one that's got to do with you is development, which is what is the government doing when it comes to the life of each person. Am I having free health care? Am I having free education? Am I having a worthy earning? Are we having distribution of that's where tax coming? Are we having proper distribution of wealth? Are my children able to say we are in a safe environment? Those are the ones that has to do with human beings, citizens.
Economic development is it then? That is what we want to talk about.
Exactly.
And as it affects the citizens, I know you that you've always been involved in such things the way that they affect the citizens. That's why we said, let's bring that which is something that you have passion for. How does it affect the citizen? How can it affect the citizen? What can come out of it for the citizens?
Let me remind you of a scenario I painted. I'm not sure. I think it was the last time I came here.
Yeah, okay.
I said, let's just picture what a nation is itself. Then we can tell what the economy is. Picture that we were all born by the same father.
Exactly.
And we live, say, 10 children, for example, live in a home. A small home. We have land. Under that land, we have resources. We have just one small house. But we now say, our father is the one who is the head of the family. Then he relinquishes his position and says, let my first son, for example, first child, be the one who is now the head of the family. So he's the one who manages the resources. By resources, I mean the house itself, the land itself, and then the resources you have under the ground. The environment belongs to us. That is what Nigeria looks like. I'm just painting a simple scenario.
Yes.
So from elder brother to, after 4 years, he says, I've spent my own time. That's the maximum I can lead. Let the next person, second child, take over. Now, our economy is around all those things that we have that belong to us, which in this case looks like GDP.
Yes.
But how do we as a family get into our land and choose to plant for agriculture? Just imagine it wasn't there before.
Yes.
So this is a critical leader now deciding on, how do we have resources to maintain the family? So we go into farming. While we were farming, we discovered we had oil under the ground.
Yes.
From there, we saw solid minerals. Gradually we begin to evacuate what we have and sell it. What we can refine, we use within the family. It's like palm oil, for example.
Exactly, palm oil.
We use it within. We sell some, we retain some. You're beginning to develop your economy, which is all what you own. And then what you're able to sell to people and get your money back, which is where you have external reserves and all of that.
Yes.
What you're able to sell, what you're receiving back, then you ask yourself certain questions, which is where critical thinking needs to now come in. It's just a simple question. What is it we have within, or rather, what is it that we don't have within this our land that we have to import before we can use it? Self-sufficiency. Is there something in Nigeria that we must import? When I say must, I mean we don't have.
Yes.
And we don't have the capacity
to produce it. And we need it.
We must use it.
Yes.
What is that thing? Is there anything like that? Let's think about it. So, you see, before you can develop a nation like Nigeria and we move ourselves from where we continuously call, which is, I'm beginning to feel very offended by it, continuously call ourselves a developing nation. We should be tired of that by now. Why? Because if we think about self-sufficiency alone, there is hardly anything that we cannot produce within. There is hardly anything that we must. When you say must, we don't have anything around it to produce it within. There's hardly anything like that. Even vehicles,
that's what anything
that relates to ICT.
That even if it's not there, is there no need for transfer of technology?
I mean, we don't have. That's what I relate to as capacity to produce. Capacity may include we send somebody abroad to go and learn and come back here. That's part of capacity.
Yes.
So the question is there something like that? Honestly, my brother, there is nothing. So if you begin to look at Nigeria from the angle of let's try to be self-sufficient, you realize that we'll have more respect, we'll have more earnings, we'll develop our people the more. In the last, say, 15, 20 years or so, remember China. I mean, if you bought something and they say it's China product, you say it simply means inferior.
Yes.
But if you produce anything in China right now,
it's the best.
It's probably the best. Why? Because there's technology behind it.
Yes.
Well, how did they get there? They consciously sent people to understudy the United States. They didn't even hide it. They send people, go and understudy, learn what they're doing over there, bring it back here. Exactly what they did. And before you know it, they've gone too far. Even the US cannot, produce so many things. They have to go over there. Why? Because even their labor is cheaper.
Cheap
than most other places all around the world. So development will now come around. I mean, to answer the question, what can the citizen now do? Or what's the effect of this, on the citizen? We've spoken about that, which is if you have a good economy, you develop the healthcare. I mean, citizens should actually come to the place where we sell. Remember the scenario I painted?
Yes.
We sell our produce, we share the proceeds. The proceeds, we save some. We should have gotten there. That happens in Libya. That happens in Saudi Arabia. That happens in Qatar. That happens in most of the oil producing nations.
Yes.
Why? Because they sell those things, they bring the money back and give straight to their citizens. We should be part of those nations. We should be.
Yes.
But remember, we also have our fellow brothers and sisters within us who would rather make a way
for themselves alone and impoverish the others. That's where a major problem, which is corruption. So what can the citizens do? We need to now begin to look at how can we personally stop blaming the government. How can we personally develop something that earns you some revenue? Even if it is farming or ICT or anything that has to do with your talent, what can you personally do to earn you something? A lot of people around us these days, and apologies to the Gen Z, who think that, oh, you should have done everything before we were born. Yes.
There's nothing like that. And there has never been anything like that all around the world. So
yes.
I think that we need to, as citizens, begin to look at how we can individually have some revenue personally. You pay your tax, you still give back to the government, that's fine.
Yes.
But the government also, we must get to the place where we consider self-sufficiency and then a lot of responsible accountability, which is we have sold X amount of crude oil and this is the number that must go, this is the amount, or rather percentage, that must go back to the citizens. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, you have. And I would also want to find out more from you.
Yes, please.
Concerning, at a stage, you see, at a stage while you were explaining, you got to a point where you say, but this is corruption. Is there not something the society can do, the citizens can do, to help curb this corruption that is also part of the problem of the economy?
I'll answer that with a question.
Okay. Now, before you ask me that question, I'll ask for another segment of this program to come on, and we'll return here.
Okay.
And that's talking about from the business news. Let's just get a story from the business news. We'll return.
Thank you.
All right.
The Dangote refinery has informed marketers and its customers of a downward review of its ex-country loading cost to 865 naira per litre. The new price is a reduction of 15 naira from 880 naira per litre sold by the facility. The refinery informed its customers in a notice sent out this morning. A pro forma invoice was cited by our correspondent, and checks into petroleum price also confirmed the development. Recall, the marketers had exclusively informed our correspondent that the 650,000 barrels refinery was anticipated to lower its petrol loading costs by the end of this week, further contributing to the reduction in fuel prices. The National Publicity Secretary of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, Chinedu Ukadike, reassured the public of the price drop while commenting on the Federal Executive Council's directive regarding the Naira for crude agreement.
Thank you so much. From that story, beautiful story of the fact that there's still going to be a reduction of fuel pump price everybody had been afraid whether it will still go beyond 1,000 again. And Dangote refinery has given us beautiful news. It's brought it down to 800 and something. So at least there is hope. Well, we're still here. And of course it is on the economy today. I want to say that my guest is quite able and to handle it all. And Bode Gbore, doctor, of course, is the one that I have. He had a question to ask me, and I asked him to wait. But then let me remind him of the one I asked. Bode, if since you mentioned the corruption, kind of, is there no way the citizens can help to curb this corruption from coming on in this country so as to help the economy?
And so I promise to answer you with a question.
Yes.
So the question is this. If you had a family member in Nigeria who is appointed into public office, would you ask him for, would you demand from him public performance or private benefits?
This is serious. Personally, I would want to demand public performance.
Personally?
Yes, personally. But
okay, so let me shock you.
I know that many Nigerians will not demand.
Let me shock you. I carried out a research by myself among people.
Yes.
And the discovery is this, that 85% of Nigerians will demand private benefits. 10% of Nigerians will demand public performance.
Okay.
5% of Nigerians will decide in between the two. We'll take some, we'll relinquish some. That's the reason why our corruption persists.
Okay.
Why? Because if a family member gets in office, we gather together as a family and say, it's our turn.
Yes, you must do something for us.
Do something for us.
And now that we have the president that clearly said it's his turn, I
do something for us.
Like. Yes, you ask, you have to do something for yourself.
I remember my last public office as Senior Special Assistant to the President on Political Matters.
Yes.
And I remember the number of friends, luckily not direct family at all in any way. I'm from a particular type of home. So not from there.
Yes.
From extended, friendship and all, acquaintances here and there. The question is always,
what are you bringing?
You are there now. Show us that you are there. How? There's a particular earning for me, and that's all. Where do I begin to get and extraordinary resources just to show that I'm in public office? So until we begin, there's a Yoruba saying, and I remember it was Pastor Tunde Bakari who was repeating it for a while. He said, Omo Gbafo. I'll explain it.
Yes.
The boy, your son, is not a dry cleaner. But he keeps coming home with clothes. But he's having more than he should have. And you're not questioning him.
Yes.
Where are you getting these stuff from? You see, that's where the role of Nigerians and citizens must start from. Maybe when we start from there, we will actually realize the power and our involvement in governance itself. I think that we're the ones responsible. By the way, the corrupt Nigerians are from within us. Let's always remember that. They are not from the moon. Them against us.
Yes.
They are from within us.
They are from within us. I remember that some people I know, when they left office, some people came to say that they were not good human beings, not real. They just used stingy words, they couldn't do anything.
No benefits.
They couldn't bring in anything to their people and all that. I remember also some long time ago when one of the past governors of Anambra State, who is also late now, Dr. Tinubu, when he appointed commissioners, and I was there, and then so he said to all the commissioners, before everybody, said, look, you have been given appointment. Use it to help your people. Do not say that you have not been told now. So your people should not come to me any longer. They should come to you, and you must help them. And some of us laughed and said, if they were to use it to help their people, how would they be able to do their job?
Exactly.
Because, I mean, if it's just for your people that you'll be made a commissioner for works will now go to his own place to make sure he repaired all the roads in his place and all that. How would there be effective and positive accountability?
Yeah.
You know, so there are certain things we also need to be careful about. Let's not carry that kind of mindset that he brought then. I also know one of the fellows too, who was also a former governor of the state to Peter Obi, that at the end of the day he concluded and came out, and people were asking him, what is it you did? He said, well, I did the work I came to do. You know, and because why they were asking is that there was nothing else he brought home, you know, and he said, that's not what I went there to do. So I wish we had people like that, because when he came in, he stopped the party. There was partying at the government house every night. Every night there would always be
That's some waste.
Immediately he came in, saw it the first night. The second day he said, no partying. And that partying ended until he left. I don't know whether the person that came continued. So we're looking for how can people, even people in governance, do something, such things, even if you are referred to as stingy, but let it be that you've done the right thing. I think it will be okay for us all.
We may need some time, actually, to be honest. You see, if we're going forward, and we all agree, we all agree to develop Nigeria, we must put our hands inside our clothes for a few years.
Yes.
And remove every excess.
Yes.
All excesses removed.
Yes.
All wastages removed. All corruption removed. Let's develop Nigeria. You'll find out that the reason we are still going back and forth is because of ourselves.
Yes.
We have one or two or three, you know, a few people from within us who keeps pulling us down. It's like there's a little story they tell that if you had 10 people, you ask 10 people to come together and lift up a heavy load. If one person is trying to push his hands back, that load is going to be heavier on the 9.
Yes.
So there's at a point, the 9 will not be able to carry it anymore. So even if you had only one person, it's meant for 10. So even if you had only one person who just keeps bringing us back, it will keep pushing the whole nation back. So I think we need, maybe for a little while, 5 years, 3 years, something like that, remove corruption completely. If you have found that, maybe that goes back to our judiciary anyway.
Yes.
Because the question is, to be honest, how many people have been punished for corruption? How many people? You arrest somebody in Nigeria, you set them free. The same person goes into a nation abroad, they go straight to jail.
Straight, yes.
They come back to the nation after serving jail, they become champion again, chieftaincy title again. And we are dealing with corruption, we must be joking. There is where our solution is. We must punish corruption, we must punish wrongdoings, and then expect that people who know that there is punishment will definitely. You see what they do in one of the countries, let me save their names. Even China, they do that. If you're caught in corruption, they kill everybody in the family in such a way that nobody will be eventually a beneficiary of the nation stealing. Now, how wicked can it even be to steal a nation's wealth for a few people?
For a few people.
You know, sometimes you have to ask yourself some questions. How much can we really spend really in a lifetime? And we have people who have like stolen billions and billions and billions, the kind of money they will never be able to spend in their own lifetime. But you know, most of these things is actually because, oh, my friend is doing it, I must do too, I must overdo this person. So competition comes into making a way with federal national resources. So I think it's a collection. We must all come together and do this.
Yes, just as you said, my friend is doing it, or even not my friend, my colleague, my neighbor is doing it. And so if I don't do it, it will look as though I'm stupid.
Yeah.
So let's do it together. When they want to arrest, let them arrest us all together.
All of us. And you know, these days, people now steal a lot more. A lot more. Such that there's enough to deal with, to take care of the, you know. It's unfortunate.
It's quite unfortunate. Yeah. Okay. The citizens.
Yes.
The role of the citizens. I know you know much more. So I want to let you bring out more for us. What the citizens should do. At this time, look into the eye of the citizen and tell the citizen, this is what you need to do. This is how you need to do it so that our economy can be made better. That does not mean that we are taking the government away, but then the citizens must play their role. Don't you think so?
You see, while in office, I noticed this gap between the citizens and the government and government parastatals. Government and parastatals on one hand, the citizens on the other hand. And I noticed that even if the citizens are willing to participate in government, there is a vacuum between the two, which is what birthed G2C interface, which is what I've been running.
Yes, I wanted to mention
for a few years.
Yes,
you know. Yeah. So the idea is to bring the citizens and the government and government parastatals to round table so that we can both know not just what is the policy of the government, no. How can we participate in the policy of government? Criticism of government policy is not a threat for that government. Even though I'm speaking to citizens and I say, look, it's as if you and I are friends. If I want to speak harshly to you or criticize you, I'm constructive. I can't be harsh. How can you apply that to government? Why are you not asking questions, you know, from government? Why are you doing this policy? Why are you not doing this other one? Or why are you doing this policy in this way? Why are you not doing it in this other way? It's just a question.
Yes.
Allow government to expand their own mind to the policies that they have. It's a good thing to come into government and say, oh, let's do this and this and this and this and this. Do it for who? The people.
Yes.
Do they actually need that? Is that what they asked for? You remember one time someone said, for agric machinery and all of that, let's bring tractors into this state and that state and that state. And one particular state, Benue actually, called us and said, we don't need this one. What we need is hoe. Give us hoe and cutlass.
That's what we know.
That's what we know how to handle. So if you want productivity from us, give us what we know how to use. You can't say because everybody's using machinery at that level that we must learn how to use that. We don't. That is the time of learning. Is possibly a time to delay our productivity.
Exactly.
So give us what we need, which is the reason I say, bring the citizens to the table. Every single policy you have, bring those citizens who are related, stakeholders now, to the round table. Hear their own view. You know what? I say this at all our events, G2C interface events. Nobody knows it all. Nobody. And for this moment, you don't really know if there's a better way to do what you really want to do. So except you listen, you deliberate, you expose yourself to the minds of the people who will eventually be those who will implement anyway your policies. Except you open up your mind to them, you are not likely to go forward. Maybe that's one of our problems. So let me say to citizens that I don't ever believe in protests, in all those rally, noise-making stuff. I don't believe in it. I don't. I think we must find a different way of having one-on-one conversations with governments. I think we must. A town hall consistent. Yes. Look, if we are permitted to run G2C, or if you find the support to run G2C the way I envision it, it will probably be the major event that runs consistently in this nation. Because the idea is, bring a governor, for example, to the round table with his own citizens. Remove all these ideas of politics and or rice and all of that. Remove all those things. Let's speak to ourselves. If we begin to do that from state to state, without politics being involved with it, trust me, every single governor will know, I better work.
Yes.
Because you know the mind of you're feeling the pulse of the people directly. They are telling you what they need directly. Before you know it, removing politics and all of that, pardon me to use, call it nonsense.
Yeah, okay.
Removing politics and all of that, removing gender, religion and all of that, each governor will sit down, and before you know it, in 4 years, they would have delivered. No matter how small, they would have delivered. You know why? Because the people would be able to now say, we were a part of this.
Yes.
We contributed to this. We suggested this and that, and he did it. That's enough.
So if there is a flaw anywhere, they won't just all shift
they will
it to
take
the
responsibility
table of
too.
the
Thank you.
governor. Yes.
They take ownership. That,
Yes,
I was a part of it.
This, yes.
I want us to get to the point where every time you're canvassing for votes, the people themselves can tell you by your scorecard that you've done well enough to deserve a second, or you've done badly enough, you don't deserve a second. You should know it directly. That's where we're going. I hope so.
Something happened quite recently. The Minister for Works had a meeting with stakeholders in Lagos. And that was on Sunday, really, just not long ago. And so they were talking, and he tried to explain every bit of the process of this Lagos to Calabar project yes, way. And at the end of the day, the citizens that came for that meeting, they were all applauding the minister and the government for the work. But before that gathering, it was noise everywhere, hula baloo, you know, so much noise that it shouldn't be this and that. Until they said, let's talk about this. Come, let's reason together. Yeah. At the end of it, even some of them were saying, you will be the next president. Because of what you have just subscribed, you know, ascribed, asked for people to follow. Because the truth is, if there can be an effective explanation of every action, then people would get to understand.
They buy into it.
Yes, and follow effectively. Take ownership of the thing and not just say, let them do what they want to do. Because afterwards they will make their money and go away.
And meanwhile, let's even use that word, taking ownership. One of the critical issues to look at in Nigeria as a whole is taking ownership of our own nation. Yes. You know, I say this all the time, I'm not too sure I said it. There is no nation in the world that is so perfect that they don't need corrections here or there. None. If there were, then there won't be elections at all. We just ask somebody to continue living for the rest of life. Yes. But it is because something is actually wrong from within that they change people. What that means is this, that most of the nations of the world, right, put their good leg forward and put their bad legs backward. In Nigeria, guess what we do? We put our bad legs forward and hide the good part of us. Meanwhile, it's meant to be the other way around. Yes. There's a nation in the world, I think it's North Korea. If you search everywhere in the world to know what their economy is all about, you will not find anything. You know why? Because they hide it. They say, we don't need you to know what we're doing in our nation. You can't find anything whatsoever. And I think it's that nation alone. Something happened recently also. I watched a particular person saying something on social media. They're talking about the most corrupt presidents in the world. We found our president there, probably number one. But I noticed something they said, that this whatever they are coming up with. That result is based on, listen to it, public perception. What does that mean?
What do people think?
What Nigerians have told the world
Yes.
about him.
Yes.
And they said exactly most of the things that Nigerians complain about. He did that, he did this, he did that. And they came up to say he's the most corrupt. Why? Public perception. Let's imagine that we had a better public perception of him. I'm saying, no, he's doing what we want him to do. I'm just saying that.
Yes.
He's doing what we want him to do. And the whole nation says, this is our president. We own him.
Yes.
This is our president. This is our leader. He represents us. He's the image of Nigeria, by the way. You know, sometimes we fool ourselves. We think that we can point our fingers to the president as the bad guy. And then if you go to the global world, they will think you are good.
You are the good guy? No
It's
way.
a joke.
It's still the same
What you
bad
call
people.
your president is who
It's
you
what
are.
That's exactly.
So we need to begin to change that. There was a story of a particular two women, black women for that matter, who went to, I think it was Dubai, was in a taxi going to, from one, Uber actually, from one place to another place. And it was a Nigerian, I remember, that was driving them. At this point, it was the first term of Trump. So the guy began to speak ill about Trump. Is this and is that, is this and is that, was speaking wrongly about Trump. The lady said, that's my president you're talking about. Said, no, I mean, this is what we're hearing, was speaking that wrongly. They asked him to stop, and they disembarked. No, you're not taking us. We cannot allow you to speak wrongly of our president. And I can tell you, those two ladies, especially being black, have probability of having not voted.
Yes.
For
but
Trump,
for the fact
but they will not take the fact that somebody is rubbishing their president, which means you're rubbishing their own personality.
Yes.
We must get to that point. It's part of our, what we need to look at.
Well, the citizens must have heard a lot concerning their role in helping economic development.
Yeah.
And wants to say thank you so much, Dr. Bode Gbore, for coming to help enlighten, I want to use that word, enlighten the citizens, so that we'll see what we can do to get better. And there's something else I want us to conclude with this.
Yeah.
You see, in the production of some of the things we have, like oil, today we hear there is adulterated oil, palm oil for that matter. You see, it's adulterated. They have mixed something with it so as to make more money and all that. This is just one. There are many other products they do these things too. Please, can you address our people concerning this? The impact of this on the entire economy?
Well, I think it's what we usually call man's wickedness to man. One part of it is the health implication.
Yes.
The other part of it is the selfishness that makes you want to give less value for an amount. You give less value for what you are charging. Your value is 20 naira, but you want to find 40, a way to charge 50. 100 naira. It's wickedness.
Yes.
And I think it's just part of I can't say it's anything around us really. It's really
wickedness.
It's really wickedness.
Just as you said. And it's, just as Zig said, it's man's inhumanity to man.
To man. So if you give something that kills a man because you want to make money, what if the health of that person can't take it, can't retain it, and the person dies as a result of that? Would that be, what kind of money would that money be?
He has forgotten that he has a hand in the death of that fellow.
So I think it's, I think we should look for making pure money. You know, make pure money, money that you can say this is from God, not from, any other place, but this is from God. More than that, you don't really become productive by giving wrong value for any value at all.
Yes.
You are not productive at all.
Yes.
You are not productive. The reason people have found these days to be people of quality, it is because they're giving value.
Okay.
Before we round up, let me give you a final word. If you have traveled around Nigeria, I have, especially during elections and campaigns and all that, I've traveled around this country, you will realize that Nigeria is possibly the most blessed nation in the world.
Exactly, I agree with you.
Most blessed by ethnicity, blessed by produce, by land, by natural gifts, the sun, the water,
Yes.
blessed. Now, don't forget, some other people have natural gifts too, like snow. Snow kills.
Yes.
Rain doesn't kill.
It doesn't kill.
Some people have sun, but sun that doesn't give energy at all. We have that here. We have solid minerals. I was just looking around today. A nation like South Korea, as mild as they are, they have only two resources. One of them is just coal. Things that don't mean nothing, but they still find a way to survive. How would nations like that survive? Because they have to come to nations like ours, who's just blessed immensely with countless resources. I think that, in fact, sometimes I think God just spoil us. Yeah, so we don't really know the value. God just spoil us. You know what we call development in many nations that you know. Development for them is that they went through crisis and they have to find a way to come out of it. That's development. We don't have any such thing. So we must respect this nation and thank God for it. I do.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Bode. Thank you so much. It's a big pleasure having you.
Thank you very much.
Please do come again.
We will surely.
Dear viewer, I know you enjoyed this company. We hope to have him around again. Dr. Bode Gbore. He is also the founder of the
G2C interface.
That is government to the citizens
interface. Yes.
So it's something that will also help a lot.
Yeah.
In fact, I think I'm going to bring you next. That's why we talked about the citizens today, because you know a lot about that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very
Please
much,
do
sir.
come again.
Thank you very much.
I want to thank you too for being part of what has happened. Not forgetting to say thanks to Bright Chukwebue and with the other fellows with whom he has worked. Remembering to mention also Victor Adeyeye and a lot of others, not forgetting, of course, my own personal assistant with whom I've worked today, talking about Esther Abraham. I will also, before I round off entirely, say thanks to Obed. Obed is Obed Gbore, and remembering also to say to Felix Akinjabola, thanks to all of you. This is Okechukwu Onubogu, saying may the best happen to all of us all the time.